Yeah, it's the profound truth is Brian said, you're doing this once and it's the most important thing in your life. And and these guys are doing it every day and they know so much more than you. It's a really hard process to reform,
Yeah.
is one of those ahas.
I do want to kind of stick on that. You said your net worth went from X to 100X. I think an element that we chatted about, texted about before, Brian, that not enough people are talking about is actually kind of the package that's in place also for Dylan, which is obviously kind of this kind of $2 billion moonshot like grant, kind of Elon Musk style. And Brian, we were saying that we don't talk enough about CEO comp. Why don't we start with you, Brian, on this, given you're the best person here to speak about it. How do you think about this and how did you analyze that?
Yeah, I think CEO comp is pretty broken at the moment. And there's two things that I think are pretty broken about it. The first is just everyone really relies heavily on RSUs. And when I grew up in the industry, I hate to be that guy, I'd be like, I'm back in the old days. It was mostly ISOs. It was options until 2006. Some regulations changed and the expensing of that changed. So the world kind of moved to RSUs. It just creates sort of a risk averse behavior in the CEO. Like it's basically cash comp, goes up and down a little bit, let's say. But in ISO, you're swinging for the fences. Like you've got a strong incentive to swing. And so it's really had a dampening effect on the risk seeking behavior of a CEO that I think more companies should want. And it's kind of pervasive across the industry. So I don't like this RSU comp thing. That's the first problem I see with all this stuff. The other problem with comp is almost every company looks at CEO comp and the way it works behind the scenes is, you know, HubSpot's got a compensation committee. Everyone's got a compensation committee and HubSpot wants to pay the CEO, let's say at the 75th percentile of what her peers make. And so we look at 20 different peers of similar sized companies, Atlassian, blah, 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 blah. And we peg her at that 75th percentile, which in her case is, you know, it's 20 million bucks, a lot of money. Now, if you did that for Dylan, which would be in our comp group, similar market cap to HubSpot, he'd make 20 million bucks a year. But if you think about it, that's like 0.3% of Dylan's market cap, of his own personal net worth. It doesn't move the needle an iota. It doesn't matter at all to him. And so you have to get kind of creative. And so I actually like what they did with his comp. They used PSUs very heavily, not RSUs. And I like the idea of not pegging your comp to your peers, but you kind of have to peg the comp to the net worth. Same thing with Elon Musk. Like if you paid Elon Musk, like Mary Barra makes $29 million a year. You think Elon cares about $29 million? So you have to kind of comp it to the CEO's net worth, as opposed to just the peers. So that's what I like about this.
But the comment, I broadly agree, especially on the process side. And you're right, the PSU, so Harry, you were going to come in and I'll just save you the trouble. A PSU, basically, an RSU is like an option, but with a zero strike price. So it's guaranteed money. And Brian's right on all the negatives on that. So PSUs, performance stock units, have evolved to effectively make the RSU more like an option. Because what you say is it's guaranteed money, but only if something happens. And the typical thing that people are pegging it off in the public markets, even though I don't agree and I'll come back to it, is stock price, right? So you're right. So in other words, instead of saying, here's 10,000 shares no matter what, here's 10,000 shares, but you only get them if the stock price is 40. So what you've bizarrely done is we created options because they got regulated out of existence in 2006. So now you've effectively recreated them. So the PSU is making an RSU more like a stock option.
I like that.
I know, and in general I do too, but watch this. The problem with the Dylan comp package, I'm going to say it didn't work. Because if you look at it, the problem with stock price triggers for compensation is it sounds rational, but they put this in place before the IPO. And if you read the triggers, they've already achieved the triggers.